Welcome to InterPartyConflict, the podcast where we answer your questions so you can have the best tabletop gaming experience possible. My name is Gabe.
My name is Jeff.
And we're going to answer your questions today. But first, I have a question. Jeff, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good.
Cool.
Trying to remember how my day went. I can't remember it. It's a blur.
Yeah, I got up kind of early today to help my dad move, and then I took a big, long nap. So I'm very disoriented.
Sure. Yeah.
One thing I did want to say is I'm poor.
What?
I mean, I'm not like... So in January of this year, I had to buy a new car.
Oh, I see.
Our car crapped out on us.
Yeah.
And then last week, I got a call from our heating cooling place, and they were like, "Oh, hey, we're doing a yearly like a sale on having your furnace inspected." And I was like, we should probably get our furnace inspected. I don't remember if we did it last year.
Right.
And so they came over and they told us, "Oh, this furnace is unsafe to be in operation. We are obligated by law to shut it down, and then you need to buy a new furnace."
Oh my! Well,
to be fair, when we bought the house, we knew the furnace was well beyond its life expectancy. We knew we were going to have to get one eventually.
Yeah.
But as with the car, I was hoping to have the house paid off first. But no. So basically, we had to buy a new furnace.
Right.
And it was, of course, way more expensive than I thought it would be.
Of course.
But
so are you sure this wasn't like a shakedown? They're like, yeah, we're doing a special pricing on inspections, and then they come in and are like, oh, you have to by law.
The guy shows me some pre-rendered photo of what the inside of our thing looks like. Oh gosh, I've never seen one this bad.
Right, yeah. He flashes you some psychic paper.
Right. I trust this company. We've dealt with them much in the past. They're very well respected. And again, we did know we were both the car and the furnace. We knew they're on their last legs.
Sure.
And in theory, this furnace will quote unquote pay for itself eventually.
Okay.
In 10 years or whatever. In energy savings.
Just
because
our
old one. Yes, our old one was older than me, Jeff.
Okay.
It was
all right.
very, very old.
All right.
Right. I know. I'm not happy, but I understand. I have no reason to be upset. But this will affect the podcast. The reason I'm bringing this up on the podcast is that hopefully there will be less room noise in the future. I mean, we usually cut out the room noise to begin with.
Yeah.
Because the furnace is so quiet now, Jeff. The fan is not caked with dust.
Right.
And it's got we did end up going with the most expensive package they had.
Okay.
The cheapest package they had was, a couple $1,000s less, but there were enough increases in efficiency that again, eventually the paying for the more expensive one eventually would end up being a better deal monetarily.
Yeah. With something like a heater where it's like a thing that you have to have running for so long, especially Michigan,
right.
It's worth it. It's like buying a bed. You want to have a nice bed because you spend, half of your life on it.
Exactly. But I've never heard the furnace since we've gotten it replaced.
Oh yeah. Mine at home is so loud. It's so loud.
Our old one was pretty loud. When we did our actual play thing that still has not actually gotten out there.
Sure.
We were doing it in the basement, and when the furnace we purposely sat in a freezing basement for as long as we could, because if I turned the furnace on, it would be so loud.
Right.
It would disrupt everything we did.
Yeah.
So, there have been times where I've noticed that the heat was on because I could feel air coming out of the vent.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear it.
Yeah.
So hopefully this will mean better sound quality in the future. Not that the sound quality's been bad, but
right. Yeah. No,
I'll take it.
Yeah. The noise reduction works pretty well.
Yeah. So the message here is go to patreon.com/InterPartyConflict
and help us pay back. Right, because it improves the show.
It does. Oh man, Jeff, I mean, if we had enough money coming in from the Patreon to make any sort of a dent whatsoever in the furnace, I could make this a podcast related expense.
You could definitely argue yes, because the furnace is new and quiet, it does improve the show.
There you go. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into the episode. So, Jeff, I want you to imagine that you're exploring a dungeon, and there's this individual that you've been chasing through this dungeon.
Okay.
You know that the dungeon has a dragon's hoard somewhere in it that this individual has like taken over or something.
Okay.
You keep seeing flashes of this individual. He runs past and then you don't see him anymore. Then he runs behind you and you do the thing where you turn around and you don't see him over there anymore. You keep hearing he's somewhere near you, but you don't see him.
Right.
You don't know where he came from. You don't know where he's going.
Oh my God.
Well, I guess you do know where he's going. You know where he's going, Jeff?
Where's he going?
The dragon's hoard. Sorry, that'll make sense in a moment. I promise / don't actually promise. All right.
He's sorry, not sorry.
Sure. So today's magic item was submitted by Sanphobia79 via email.
Uh-huh.
And the magic item is the Codex of Cotton Eye Joe.
Where did he come from?
No matter how strong you are, my will shall not be bent. I know where he came from and where he went.
Oh.
It's a quote at the top of this description. So there's a legendary magic item.
Oh my.
We'll talk about that in a moment.
Okay.
This is a scroll.
Uh-huh.
An enchanted scroll possessing knowledge of a long-lost warrior, protected by a living seal. Only the words of the air will reveal the secrets within the codex. Now, mechanics-wise, the Codex of Cotton Eye Joe is a scroll of great knowledge. The story tells that the warrior had a wife long ago, and only the voice of his living heir can undo the seal, leading you to the treasure hidden long ago. Now, that's all this says. Sanphobia79 did not invent this magic item. This is, of course, a reference to the movie, to the song Cotton Eye Joe.
Right, yeah, the cinematic universe of Cotton Eye Joe.
Clearly, this is meant as a joke item. However, I thought we could, I don't know, come up with something for this. There aren't actually anything in the way of mechanics. This says it's a legendary magic item.
Well, it says it's a legendary scroll, which it is neither a scroll as far as like
that's a good
mechanics
point.
of the game, at least Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah,
because scroll is specific in that it is a spell,
right?
That you cast from the scroll. And then legendary, I mean, if it leads to a legendary treasure,
I suppose,
or like the map itself, once you get it open, it has like, it's maybe it's like a honest to goodness like GPS sort of thing.
Well, so what I was going to say was, because there isn't actually anything in the way of mechanics for this, we could brainstorm what such an item could do.
Yeah. And
hey, sky's the limit. This is a legendary magic item after all.
I think this is a GPS, because
where
do you come from? Where do you go? And now because you can see it's like a Marauder's map of your D&D campaign world. The world that your campaign's in.
Okay, I'm inclined to say that it only shows you the location of Cotton Eye Joe. However, it does, I would say it even tells you where he's going to go. So it even looks into the future.
Oh.
It's like you're looking at a map of his life.
Yes. Okay. Yep.
Have you ever read Neil Gaiman's Sandman?
No. So Skylar has.
It's very good. It's a series of graphic novels that follows Morpheus, the god of dreams, is the best way I can describe him.
Yeah.
Gods are a tier below him, but he's one of 7 what are called the Endless, and they are these like 7 beings that are some embodiment of existence, I guess.
Yeah.
So like death is one of them.
Yep.
Dream is actually Morpheus. His name is just Dream, but we call him Morpheus because I think there's a Greek god of dreams or something.
Okay.
So death, dream, destiny, delirium, despair, destruction, and
delicious.
No, shoot. What's the other one? Desire. Desire is the other one. Anyway, so like each of them are the embodiment of one of those concepts, and destiny is portrayed as this man in this long cloak that is, whenever they go to his realm, it's basically just like this hedge maze where he is walking on a path, and at any point, like, the characters can look and see another him, like, oh, over on that other path, there's another you over there. And he's like, no, that's just me in the future. Or that's me 20 years ago on that path over there. And he also has a book that is like shackled to his arm that supposedly has all of everyone's fate written out. Everything everyone will ever do or has ever done is written out in this book.
Okay.
And so, like, in theory, you could look in this book and you could see exactly what you are going to do in the future. And, you know, there's the issue of determinism and so on and so on. But similarly, that's what this makes me think of.
Right. So,
it could be.
So this is a torn page from Destiny's book.
It is Cotton Eye Joe's page torn out of Destiny's book.
That's pretty cool.
So you can look at it and you can see Cotton Eye Joe, 30 years ago he did this.
Yeah.
In the future, he's going to go here. It says so on here and so on and so on. And I would say that's a legendary, maybe bordering artifact. I'm sure it doesn't really do. I mean, it doesn't like give you a bonus on a roll or something.
Right. But he sure as heck tells you where Cotton Eye Joe went.
Sure. But it's definitely a thing that can't be recreated. And, its origin is definitely artifact level. And
for
so
sure.
on. So,
did he hide some treasure?
Maybe.
I don't know. You follow his footsteps, and you just find out he's just some regular guy. Like he was a farmer or something. He just traveled a lot.
Oh, he just got a little cotton in his eye one day.
Cotton,
and that's it.
It's so I see you've opened up.
I have opened up the lyrics
to Cotton Eye Joe
to see if there was anything.
There's so much of it.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, most of it is just the chorus repeated and repeated.
Oh, I see. See, some lyric sites they'll just put repeat chorus or something.
Sure.
I got you.
Looking at this, okay, he brought disaster wherever he went. The hearts of the girls was to hell broken sent.
What?
So he's a bit of a ladies' man.
Okay.
And or he would sacrifice women's hearts to demons.
Oh my gosh. We got to get this scroll open so we can figure out where he hid the bodies.
Okay. Here we go, Jeff.
Okay.
Cotton Eye Joe, he maybe he was intentionally working for the demons, but maybe he was cursed, and the only way to abate the curse is to kill innocents and sacrifice their hearts to the nine hells.
Oh my goodness. We have to find him, and
so he could be the end boss of your campaign right here. And then finding the Codex of Cotton Eye Joe tells you everything. That's like you get in the second to last adventure. Mm-hmm. You get it, and then maybe the last little scrap of the page has been torn off, so you don't know what happens when you confront him.
Right.
But you know that you're going to confront him whether you want to or not.
Sure. Okay.
I think we're getting somewhere.
Could it in the way that Destiny was you could see the in the hedge maze you saw the other Destiny in the future or the past or something. Would you be able to interact with this artifact? Be able to interact with Cotton Eye Joe in the past, so you can go and find him.
Oh snap!
And or at least maybe not interact with him, but witness firsthand, maybe a projection, or maybe you could interact with him, but it doesn't really change what happened. It's just more of a simulation sort of a thing.
Maybe something sort of like Tom Riddle's diary in Harry Potter. You could go into a past event that Cotton Eye Joe took part in.
Right.
So you get the Codex of Cotton Eye Joe in the third to last adventure.
Uh-huh.
And then the second to last adventure is you have to go into it to find out his past so that you know how to defeat him in the future. And that's when you find out that he's not doing this by choice. He's doing this because, if he doesn't sacrifice hearts to hell, then I don't know, he'll turn into a demon that will be worse than any other demon anybody's ever seen or something.
Yeah. He'll bring a worse destruction upon the world.
There you go. That he will bring about Armageddon.
Whew, Cotton Eye Joe.
Yep. Because he did bring disaster wherever he went.
Right. It says so in the song.
So in the holy pages.
In the holy scripture of Cotton Eye Joe.
Yes.
It has been foretold.
Right. I thought it would be an interesting exercise to take this item that has basically nothing beyond one very simple joke. But I think we came up with some cool stuff for it.
I think so too.
All right. Well, so that'll do it. That'll do it for the Codex of Cotton Eye Joe. Once again, submitted by Sanphobia79 by email. So Jeff, if anybody else wanted to, thank you, Sanphobia 79.
Right.
I should probably not gloss over that part. If anybody wanted to be like Sanphobia 79 and submit us a magic item for the Dragon's Horde,
right,
or a story for a character death story for the Funeral Pyre, or a retirement story for the Retirement Village,
right,
or submit questions for us to discuss, how would they do so?
They could send us an email at interpartyconflict@gmail.com or join us on our Interparty Discord at bit.ly/interpartydiscord.
There you go. And before we go any further, we have a giveaway today. As for the last few weeks, we're giving away a copy of Unearthed Tips and Tricks Volume 1, courtesy of Crit Academy. It's a great book that I helped write. It's a collection of character concepts, encounter concepts, monster variants, magic items, player tips, and DM tips. And made by Crit Academy, it's part of their podcast, compiled into a book. It's a great product. Whether I had anything to do with it or not is still a great product.
Right.
So we're giving away a copy of that today. And Jeff, who is our winner?
Our winner today is Jason E.
Winner. Gobble, gobble, gobble. Yes, congratulations, Jason E. You should be getting that in your email pretty soon. And be sure to let Crit Academy know what you think. Leave them a review on DM's Guild if you can. And, that'll help them and, by extension, me make better products because I'm in the process of getting together Unearthed Tips and Tricks Volume 2.
Right, yeah. So the feedback will go directly to Gabe as well.
I mean, in theory, you could just submit feedback to me, but if you do it on an official platform like DM's Guild, it helps them out as well. So.
Yeah, helps with algorithms maybe.
Definitely. So be sure to do that.
Because, the great algorithm in the sky that determines all of our opinions.
You know what I hate about how everything is algorithms now?
Yeah.
If you don't click on something the moment you see it, you might never see it again.
Sure.
Even if you're just scrolling through your feed on Facebook or whatever, and it's oh, that's really cool. I'll come back to that in a moment. And you accidentally, you click away to a different page.
And then you come back and it's gone.
It very well you might never see it again.
Right. Because it thinks oh, you're not interested in that, obviously.
Sure.
I'm not going to show that to you ever again.
And because nothing just lets you look at everything in a row, everything by date or whatever.
Yeah.
You might never be able to find it again.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating.
Yeah, news feeds aren't in any order anymore. They're just in half of its ads. Anyway,
sorry not to spend all of this complaining. So, anyway, thank you very much, Crit Academy, for giving this wonderful giveaway. And if anybody else wanted to be like Jason E. and get a free copy of this great product, how would they do so?
They could send us an email at interpartyconflict@gmail.com with Unearthed Tips and Tricks in the subject line.
Yep, and we've gotten a lot of people, and a lot of them have sent us cool pictures.
Oh, yeah.
Someone sent me a picture of a rat the other day. It's adorable.
Jason actually sent us a picture of a robot.
That's true. He did. He sent a picture of a robot, and it's very, very cool.
Yeah, I like it.
So thank you, Crit Academy, Jason E. Hopefully you'll get that soon, and hopefully you enjoy it and leave them a review. And Jeff, hey, I've got some awesome news.
What?
We got some more patrons.
Sweet.
We've got 2 more patrons. One of them was a patron and then canceled, but then became a patron again.
Okay.
And the other one is a new patron.
Oh.
The 2 patrons are Dustin F., who just became a new top-tier patron, just in time to play in our Roll20 game that's going to be happening pretty soon.
Heck yeah.
And the other is our good friend Jay. Jay became a patron again. So thank you very much to Dustin and Jay. You guys are awesome.
Woohoo.
And for anybody who might not know what we're talking about, we are talking about Patreon. I want to thank all of our wonderful patrons, including Dustin and Jay. We've got a Patreon campaign, which, if you're not familiar with Patreon is an online platform. You can pledge to donate a certain amount of money per month to the creator of your choice. And if you check ours out, we've got a few different tiers with different rewards for each tier. We've got outtakes on the lowest tier. We've got a monthly bonus podcast called InterPatronConflict, where we, Jeff and I, talk about various topics. I think we might record one tonight. We might record it next week. But by the time this episode goes out, there will probably be one of those for this month.
Sure.
We've also got a monthly Roll20 game, which I think is going to be happening the day before this episode goes out. And I'm very, very excited about it.
Yeah.
And we've got a good turnout. We haven't really had much turnout in a while, but everybody was coming out of the woodwork to try and be in this one. So I'm very excited about that. I'm running an Eberron game.
Yes.
And if it's cool with everybody, I think I'm going to keep running Eberron for a while because I'm so excited to.
Eberron's got a lot of good stuff to it.
Yeah. We just did a patron bonus episode about Eberron last month.
Right. Yep.
So
and then we were on
DMs of Vancouver. I'm not sure if that episode will be out yet, but it will be coming out soon. If not,
Sure.
we're on an episode of DMs of Vancouver talking about Eberron.
Yes.
Also, we're on an episode of Crit Academy talking about something else. That should be coming out pretty soon too. So
Yeah.
we've been busy.
Yeah,
lately.
we went a little all over the place.
Yeah. Anyway, so our Patreon, if you want to support the show and get some cool stuff in return, go to patreon.com/InterPartyConflict. See if anything appeals to you, and then if so, you can help out the show and get some cool stuff.
Yeah.
And then just one more thing, check out the other podcasts on the Crit Nation Fellowship. We already talked about Crit Academy. Crit Academy is a podcast where Justin, Ian, and Brandon create new and reusable content for players and DMs alike. Once again, check their feed for us in an upcoming episode.
Yes.
We'll be sure to link that on social media when it comes out. Also check out Brute Force and Ignorance. It's an actual play podcast on the network. And then D&D Character Lab. Garen and Dan made characters every week and pitted them against each other to debate whose characters were better. They stopped making episodes, but all their episodes are still out there to listen to.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into some questions, Jeff.
Sure. Our first question comes from Eric on Facebook, and they ask, how often do you play a character that is a different gender than your own? When you do, what are some hurdles you face when getting into character?
Yeah, so we had a question, like this was submitted right after we did a question that did deal with this some time ago. I don't quite remember what the context was for that question, but anyway, so we've been hanging on to this one for a little while.
Yeah.
Jeff, how often do you play a character that is a different gender than your own?
In D&D specifically, not super often.
Mm-hmm.
I guess with like a Warforged, they're genderless.
Sure. They can sort of assign themselves a gender, but that is not necessary.
Right, yeah, exactly. Like there have been a couple, I feel like at least one or two times where I've played a female character.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was a druid, but I think I was also playing two characters at the time.
Okay.
I was playing a elf druid. I forget what her name was. Crap.
That was
her
name?
No, her name wasn't crap. I think it was Elfie. Maybe it was, no, I can't remember.
I feel like I do remember you playing an elf druid named Elfie. Was that when we were doing the Red Hand of Doom?
Yeah, that sounds right. And I was also playing a halfling rogue.
Yes. Yeah, I remember
who like threw daggers and had like the feint ability or something like that.
Yeah, you would just pass out like.
Right.
In that same campaign, my main character, because we had like a main character and then like a secondary character.
Yeah.
My main character was a male human fighter, and then my secondary character was a female cleric wizard mystic theurge, I think.
That sounds right. I do remember that the druid, because it had a animal companion, so it was actually controlling three things.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I think I had the halfling riding the druid's companion.
Sure.
Because it was like a dire wolf or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, so in D&D, not super often, but sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
In video games, all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, yes, to an extent, it is because I am attracted to ladies.
Sure.
And and it's the like stereotypical, the guy likes to play girls in video games because he likes looking at a girl all day, right? Okay, yes, to an extent, I'm
sure some part of it is
right.
that.
I'm not gonna deny that. Yeah. But I've definitely talked about this before, and I'm pretty sure it's been on the show. So we have definitely discussed this before. I do like making female characters because it is true that in a lot of cases, like female characters don't play like the main character roles.
Okay.
You don't see them in those kind of roles in a lot of fiction and stuff like that.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I want to see, that as like a female do that.
Sure. Yeah.
And I get it. Why not try something else? Why not see something else?
I guess I should probably put a disclaimer. There probably isn't going to be any like hard hitting,
right,
unexpected, like, we're not going to get into a big discussion on like gender politics or anything like that.
Right. Yeah.
But as far just as gamers,
Mm-hmm.
we are both guys, and like I would say I don't play females as often as I play males. It's I would probably say it's maybe like a 1/3 of the time ratio.
Sure.
Probably. I do try to play females occasionally. With me, it's I try to make all my characters as different from the previous character as I can a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So it's not really like something that I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna play a female this campaign.
Sure.
It's just like, what's a cool character concept? Oh, that's a cool character concept.
Yeah.
And if that character's female, Cool.
Yeah, exactly.
No problem with
that. When I am coming up with character concepts, it is sort of just a feeling like, okay, this is a female. Like it just feels right.
Yeah.
You know, in a lot of cases.
In video games, I do also find myself playing female characters fairly often, and I think it is some part of it is that in video games specifically, I like when you can like change your equipment and you can see how the equipment looks. And I think that it often looks better on a female character than on a male character.
Well,
male characters are just kind of like just a big buff dude.
Yeah. And I mean, like there is the like, a lot of game developers are straight men.
Sure.
And so like there is, and then like,
Oh yeah. Okay. I should probably amend what I said. Yeah. I'm not talking about the games where like, oh, you put on full plate and then she's wearing like a bikini or something. Right. That's not what I'm talking about.
No, I understand that, but it's like, it's, I mean like there is more attention to the design of a female character in video games because they know people are, they know a good amount of people are going to be like, they want to play dress up, in whatever way that suits them.
Like I remember when, way back when we all played World of Warcraft together, I remember I played a female character in that and I was a tailor and I really liked just seeing what all of the different clothes were that I could make.
Yeah.
It was really neat to see that on a character.
Yeah. And like later on in the game, they added like the transmog, which is where you can like basically turn any of your equipment into other equipment and stuff. So you can like mix and match stuff, or where like, this really nice looking set of armor that has low stats, you can make your high level armor look like it.
That's kind of cool.
As far as like, hurdles and everything, like, I don't know. I just play the character really. Like it just, I don't really play any differently.
Right.
When I'm playing a female character in D&D. I think I had the last time I played a female character, I only played her for one session, but it was it was an early adventure of Curse of Strahd.
Okay.
And she was just like I think she was like a detective or something like that.
Cool.
Because like she was coming in late in the game because they had already done a few sessions, and I popped in for a session, and so like I had her like be like a investigator or detective or something that was getting her to like show up and be like, and like to start following the already established group. She was sort of like investigating them.
Okay.
I was like, okay, what's this curse of what now? What's going on here? You know, that sort of thing. So
I'm trying to think, because like you said, I just kind of play the character.
Yeah.
I understand for a lot of people there probably are hurdles that they have to hop over in order to get into playing such a character. I know that, but I mean, I don't know how much of that is the fact that it's female or just the fact that it's something different than what they usually play. I don't know. I can't speak for anybody else.
Yeah.
I know that this question was asked by Eric, who is one of the players on Brute Force and Ignorance. And at least at the time, Eric was playing a female character in the game that they were running. And so I'm sure that's where part of this question was coming from.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely something that I'm sure a lot of people do have trouble with. I would urge anybody out there not to, whether you're playing a character that is a different gender than your own, or a character that is I don't know, like a different race or something. Just try not to, I guess actually, regardless of what your character is, try not to just have your character be a stereotype and then that's the extent of your character.
Right. Even if it's entertaining to the group, it'll get old because it's going to be one note, I mean, you also don't want to be insensitive by being stereotypical.
Sure.
I mean, like, although a stereotypical orc isn't necessarily insensitive.
Good point.
To any, any real person as far as I know.
Somebody could probably be like, oh, it's a stereotype of the...
I mean, there could be some, like Tolkien could have some there could be some like root in like like real life racial stereotypes within orcs or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know about it.
Don't know. We are not experts on that. That's not where we're coming from.
Right.
It's always kind of annoying when you look at like particularly old cartoons and video games where it's like there's the party, you've got the brash leader that keeps everybody together and is always heading running in first. Then you've got the I don't know, the sneaky sidekick that's doing whatever, and then you've got the woman, and then you've got the the tough guy. That's what, and it's like, well, wait a minute, hold on. So the entire character's concept was this character is a female. Go.
Right.
That's what you should not try to do.
Right. It's like, okay, I'm just gonna talk with a higher voice. That's the character.
Sure. And I don't think that was Eric that asked that, but we had somebody that was asking, like, how do you do a character's voice that, like, if you're a male playing a female character,
or even if you're just a DM, like like trying to talk as a different gender NPC.
I would say even in that case, don't have it be, okay, I'm going to talk like X gender. I'm going to talk like this particular gender, because that's not a character.
Yeah.
Try to, if you do want to sound more like a female, try to think yourself, okay, what are some things that females are doing with their voice or with what they're trying to say or whatever, and then build your voice around that rather than just, oh, this person clearly has a higher voice. Because if I just talked like this, that wouldn't make me sound like a female. I would just sound ridiculous.
Right.
Similarly, if you're a female and you're trying to do a male voice, don't be upset if you can't. Don't just talk like this and sound like a guy, because that's not a character either. That's just
you're just doing silly voices. Yeah. At that point,
and I mean, sure, sometimes a silly voice can be can become a character.
Sure. But, sometimes a silly voice can take on a life of its own.
Yeah. I've just been listening to a lot of the Adventure Zone because our good friend Steve has really gotten into listening to it, and that got me interested in listening to it again.
Sure.
And there are a lot of characters in that started out as a goofy voice, but then over the course of, this 3-year long campaign, they turned into characters that like everybody loves, and everybody loves the quirks of that character.
Right.
And the voice isn't what made them. They may have started out as a voice, but they became so much more than that.
Yeah.
So there is more to a person than their voice. There's more to a person than their gender.
Right.
So if your intent is to make a fleshed out character that will feel believable, that will feel realistic, you got to think beyond the superficial aspects and think about what are their motivations? What is this person trying to do?
Yeah.
Who are they?
Right.
I don't know if we gave any actual good information here.
Right. Like, again, this is coming from two cis straight males. Like, we're not going to be very insightful in a lot of these topics.
But I do want it to be a topic that more people are thinking about. More people are familiar with.
Yep.
Once people are more familiar with it, it'll become less of a thing. Mm-hmm. Do not be that person that plays the opposite gender character and then all you're doing is trying to have sex with everybody else.
Right.
Just don't do it.
Yeah, it was like a power fantasy sort of thing.
So many horror stories about this. Somebody played a game at the local gaming store and then a guy showed up with, some anime chick and a giant sword, and all she did was rub herself on other. No. Do not do that.
Right.
Whoever you are. And I'm sure there is
She's going to take the cohort feat. And the cohort's going to be me.
Yeah.
And,
I'm sure that somewhere there is probably a gender swapped version of that. Whatever the case. Just don't do it.
Yeah. Just,
try to think of your character as a person.
Yeah.
Not as a gender.
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, it's fine to start. It's fine to start off and say, I want to play this character. I want to make a character that is a female,
right?
Or I want my character to be this thing. That can be the starting point for your character, but don't have it be the end point.
Right? Yeah, that's not. Yeah, that can't be the only thing that distinguishes the character.
Exactly. So as long as your character is a fully fledged character, you shouldn't have any problems. That's where the problems come from, is when it's like they start and end at one aspect, and then that's it.
Yeah.
So. Anyway, let's scoot away from this before either of us trips over words and says something.
Yeah, we didn't want to say. We already make fools of ourselves on the show already. So, but I mean, it's and again, as long as you're having fun and not hurting anybody, that's important.
Oh, and actually, before we move on, one thing that I do want to mention is that we have a good friend named Bridget.
Yes,
who is, I don't think it's out yet, but pretty soon, she is making a podcast specifically about transgender issues, about kind of gender issues in general.
Gender identity,
that kind of stuff. It's called Bridging the Gap, which I think is a really cool name.
Right.
And she just finished a Kickstarter on it, and she's going to be, it's actually going to be coming out pretty soon, I think.
Yeah, it was a very successful Kickstarter.
Very successful, yeah.
So she's very excited. I'm excited. I'm excited to hear. Yeah. She's asked me to be a guest on it at some point.
She's asked me to be a guest on it as well. I gave her a lot of tips on like what microphones to get, and so on.
Yeah. She came to me, about early on about it, and I was like, "Have you been talking to Gabe?" And she's like, "Yes, yes. I've been. Gabe's been helping me out." I'm like, "Okay, good," because there's a lot of little things.
There is, yeah.
To starting a podcast that you do not think about, and then you're just sort of like, "What do I do? What do I do now? How do I do this?"
Yeah. So once it comes out, we'll be putting it in the show notes and everything. Right. But yeah, if you were to go to Kickstarter and type in "Bridging the Gap," I'm sure there'd be information about what the show's going to be and so on and so on.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's move on.
Sure. Our next question comes from Danny C. on email, and they ask, "How do you run a combat with lots of NPCs involved?"
Yeah. So Danny C. sent in this email and was asking this question, and I guess in the campaign they're running, or in that Danny C is playing in, the DM, there's going to be a battle that has it's going to be like a big important battle, and it's at a location where there's a whole bunch of established NPCs, and so they were asking like, how do you run a combat? Do you roll an initiative for everybody and then have everybody take a turn? How do you run a battle with a whole lot of NPCs that, all might have something relevant to do?
Depending on how those NPCs are like all connected. I've seen things like swarms of goblins.
Okay.
It would be like swarm mechanics, but for a group of NPCs, I don't know if you would pool their like HP together, but they wouldn't. They would basically give them they'd be a monster. They have like a single stat block, so you'd you the DM would be only handling one thing, even though there's like 8 goblins in there. But you give them like a multi attack or something. You know, like maybe not 8 attacks.
Yeah.
But because if you think about it, 8 goblins. Well, I guess 8 would be the exact number that could surround you.
I suppose.
But I mean, if they were, standing in front of you and not surrounding you, only so many of them could attack you, it would be in range to attack you. So I mean, be a multi-attack of like 3 attacks or 4 attacks or something like that. So depending on how closely related these NPCs are, you could kind of huddle them together into singular stat blocks that have like a set of abilities that are based on who they are. So like, if you got, one NPC that's a fighter and one NPC that's a cleric and one NPC that's a wizard, you could give them like, okay, this, they have, they have an attack or like a bull rush thing. They have a healing, they have a healing spell that they can do, and they have an attack spell that they can do or something.
Sure.
And, it's one entity in the battle, but, when the healing spell is being used, it's that one character doing it,
Okay.
It's a singular stat block mob.
Okay.
But it is flavored as those several NPCs.
Sure. You could do that. I think we had a question that was similar to this one some time ago. I don't remember exactly what that question was, but we talked about having like a battle where there's like a battle all around you, and we talked about having like events happen periodically that it's like, oh, everybody make a save or something, or something, because like a group of orcs off in the distance just threw a Molotov cocktail or something like that. And then we said like, if you could have it be that, oh, if you don't beat the group you're fighting by like end of round 3, then this other thing happens, and so on. I would actually say, especially when dealing with NPCs, either don't involve them in the battle if you can help it, or if you do involve them in the battle, have it be a very small amount.
Sure.
Or give the stat blocks to one of the players and have one of the players play it.
Yeah.
Because as a dungeon master, you tend to have a lot of things to keep track of to begin with. If you're going to have a group of 8 goblins attack the party, that's 8 stat blocks. Maybe they're all the same stats, but if they start taking damage and not being killed, you got to keep track of 8 different pools of hit points.
Yeah.
If one of them throws their spear and doesn't have that spear anymore, you got to keep track of that. And that's just with a very basic group of goblins.
Yeah.
The more NPCs that you put in, whether they're monsters or friendly characters,
Right.
the more work it's going to be for the DM, and the less fun it's going to be for the players. Like, think of it like if you were playing a game where combat already takes 45 minutes per round because you got so many people around the table.
Yeah.
If for 25 of those minutes, it's just the DM fighting the DM,
Yeah.
it's going to get real old real fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I understand that if you're going to have a lot of NPCs that are all nearby and it makes sense for them to be there, okay, I understand that. But you still should try to find some way not to have them just roll stats in battle. Like, again, the Adventure Zone. Lots of times, Griffin, the DM, will have a sort of like a rogues gallery of, oh, during this fight, this NPC shows up, this NPC shows up, this NPC shows up. And when he does it, he has the NPC basically like combat ends for a moment. The NPC shows up, does something that doesn't necessarily have any dice involved, he just narrates what happens.
Sure.
And then they're gone.
Yeah, a little cutscene thing.
Exactly. And so it's even though it is still something that's taking attention away from the players, it's not bogging them down with dice rolls and so on and so on. The players are the heroes. They should be the focus of the battle. If at any point another group of NPCs starts taking up as much time or more than the players do in combat, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Now, if it's the enemies, okay, you should also try to have your enemy groups be smaller and less time intensive, but it is more reasonable to have a bunch of monsters that you have to spend forever on than another group of heroes, because then it's like, why are the PCs even here?
Sure. Oh, we could have just stayed home.
Well, I guess, yeah.
Yeah. Because the way I'm envisioning it is sort of it's sort of similar to something that you did a while back with Age of Worms.
Okay.
I think. Where like you brought back some of the characters.
I did.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like NPCs from previous adventures like sort of showed up, but like they were there for like a minute. You know, I don't even know if we did any like actual combat with them or anything.
Even in
like
that case, I'm pretty sure it's like you fought a battle. After the battle was over,
like
I narrated a short scene about what these NPCs were doing, and then they were gone.
Yeah, you maybe narrated like, oh, they came down and like killed a group of enemies and ran off and like waved, hey, how's it going?
Right.
You know, so something like that. Or I'm also thinking about the most recent example I can think of is Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
Zelda.
Yeah.
Where you go and you free the big machines. I forget what they're called.
The Divine Beasts.
The Divine Beasts. Yeah. You go and you free them from their domination by Ganon or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then when you go to fight Ganon, you know, for every one that you freed, like a chunk of Ganon's health gets taken away.
Sure.
So like when you freed all four, it basically cuts his health in half, and you start the battle, you know, with him halfway down. Something that, like to that effect, if this is sort of a, you know, like, okay, like this is a big end battle and all your NPC friends that you've met along the way are showing up to help out in the battle.
Yeah.
It could be in that sense, like, you know, like, oh my gosh, there's like, you know, there's 100 orcs, but now we only have to deal with 50 because all of our NPC friends came and like, you know, walled them off or are kind of fighting off in the distance or something like that.
Yeah, no. And like if I might have muddied this a bit, but I love this idea. I love the idea of it's the climactic thing and there's all these NPCs that show up to help you. I love that. I think that's so cool. But yeah, try to have it be, it just makes, it's just set dressing, but then makes what the players have to do easier.
Right.
Because it happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, just my general advice is try not to just roll initiative for everybody and then take a turn for everybody, because that is going to be so much work for the DM and so boring for the players.
Yeah, there's no way that's going to be fun for anybody.
Like maybe if the DM does a really good job with it, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, like if you are a professional, like
if you have a ton of stuff prepared ahead of time, you know exactly what they're all going to do.
Yeah,
maybe
one of those crazy type A personalities that you're just gonna get it done, and you look amazing doing it.
Yeah.
Just Stop it.
But in 99.9% of games, it's just going to slow the game down and take focus away from the players.
Yeah.
So I would very much urge not to do it that way. Have it just be a quick narration, and then the players do their thing and come out as heroes.
Yeah.
So.
Or mush them all into one entity.
Okay.
And they just become this like multi-headed, many-limbed monstrosity with all the hopes and dreams and memories of your friends.
I mean, that could be a pretty awesome thing too. All right. Well, I think that'll do it for our regular questions for today, but we do still have our social media questions. So the last social media question was dinner plans with your gaming group. Do you eat before, during, or after a session?
I mean, we've definitely done all of these.
Yes, we have.
Like, which is the best?
Which do you prefer?
Which do I prefer?
If you had the choice, which would you rather do?
I think if we were gonna eat, I think after.
Yeah.
Because you get to like sit down and talk about what happened.
Sure.
And like there's sort of like the relief of like, okay, the session's over. You're not. I don't want to say you're not at work anymore because obviously
Sure.
you shouldn't feel like D&D is work, although it can be some work.
It
sometimes.
can be.
But like it's a nice way to wind down with your friends, and then like people can kind of just go as they please and just be like, okay, it's the end of the night, end of the session, we're gonna go out to eat, or whatever, or we're gonna sit around and eat and talk about it, and then like when everybody's ready to go home, they go home. There's no like at that point there's no like real obligation. You just kind of chill and hang out.
Yeah.
Eating beforehand is also good because then you're not hungry.
Right.
But I feel like you have a snack. You make sure you eat before you go to the session.
Yeah.
Because the session could take several hours.
Right.
Maybe have a snack on hand for midpoint, and then go. If you're making dinner plans with the group, I feel like afterwards is probably my preference.
I would agree with pretty much everything you said. I think that if you have time, do it either before or after. I think after is really cool. It's like, we're done playing. We can go hang out and talk about it while we're eating or whatever.
Yeah.
Whether that's realistic or not,
sure.
I think most of the time people are just gonna order a pizza and then
right.
But then it takes so much time away from you. Spend so much time eating or whatever instead of playing.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Yeah, the few times I was playing with at Bridget's place, we would stop for pizza, and that actually took a good it was like a third of the time we were there was just eating and such.
I remember when we played our 4th edition game at her house. She had just moved in.
Right.
We ordered a pizza. Like 3 hours passed. It still had not arrived, and it turned out they couldn't find the house, so they just left. So we ended up going out to like a late night bar or something to get something to eat.
Yeah. She's sort of her place is sort of off the path a little bit.
Yeah. But we got a few responses on Facebook. Colin W. says, before or during. We usually mingle and eat for half an hour to an hour prior to settling into the game. And then we wonder why we have so little time in the session for everything else. There you go.
Right.
That's exactly the point I'm talking about. Dustin F. says, we generally eat midway through the game when people start to get hungry. This usually means taking a break to get food or order a pizza. Eric M., who is actually Eric that sent in the first question that we talked about today, says, our group meets around 11 a.m. We share snacks, play a couple hours, and then break for lunch. We then play until dinner and call it quits. Breaking bread together helps us all bond, as some of us are just recently friends. There you go. Yeah, eating with your group is a good. I recommend it.
Yeah.
I just want to try to make sure everybody doesn't forego half the session in order to eat.
Yeah. But I mean, like, if the idea of getting together is just to hang out, like if D&D is just sort of an activity that you're doing as an excuse to hang out with your friends, do what you're gonna do.
Yeah,
as long as you're together having a good time. But yeah, if you want to make sure that you're getting session time in,
Yeah. David E. says, for the midweek games, we eat prior to the game. The Sunday games, we start earlier in the day, so we set time aside for dinner, and sometimes we potluck dinner. And that's kind of cool. Everybody brings something, and then you all eat it there. That's a neat idea. I'd say that's probably preferable to just ordering a pizza, but it takes more prep time.
Yeah.
Ela M says, usually we eat in the middle as a break. I DM and my partner cooks. He's a professional chef.
Ooh.
He is usually prepping food while I prep encounters and last-minute maps. And we take a food/nicotine intermission, and they discuss the game and NPC motives while I shove food in my face and don't spoil the story.
Okay, so that's the answer right there.
Yeah.
Find you a chef.
I guess, yeah.
Find you a chef.
Yeah,
like
I can't argue with that.
That's you just do it.
Yep. Then Ela says, last session we did breakfast and then gamed, and I preferred that, but I'm not sure my partner was jazzed for it because he isn't really a morning person.
Sure, yeah, you gotta get up earlier to prep food and
That's
stuff.
true.
Yep,
That's true.
That can be a pain.
And then Brandon B says, typically before, as a group or majority of a group, we typically hash out a recap and other off-adventuring topics. So there you go. And then over on Reddit, Alistar the Minotaur says, generally before, I usually host and have a chance to cook for the group, so by the time everyone has meandered in, I've already got dinner ready. Plus, it gives our DM a chance to recap while the party is too busy shoveling food in their gullets to interrupt him. And then Jakofier says, I haven't been as active pitching into the weeklies as I should, but this one jumped out at me. My group plays at a local bar that does great deals on beer and food on Mondays. It's fairly quiet, so they don't mind us making a bit of noise in the back corner. They reserve a table for us every week, and we just duck over to the bar mid-session to order as we need. Sometimes this happens at natural stopping points. Sometimes we quickly go order after our turn in combat and when the bar is clear. As a former DM who used to cook and host every week, playing in this game is much less work to organize.
Huh.
I can understand that. I think that it can be a little daunting to play in a public place.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're in a place where they're friendly and they're
right, yeah.
don't mind you doing that.
Yeah, if they can accommodate you and like it's not difficult for your players, like cuz I know I definitely wouldn't want to be role playing in a public place. I have a hard enough time in a friend's home, let alone a public place.
Doing a character voice and all that stuff.
But I can imagine that being really cool. Like, man, like when I would go to bars and stuff, like if I went to bars and was like playing D&D with my buddies, and then also like I could just like, okay, hold on, while you're taking your turn, I'm gonna go over to the bar and grab another beer.
Yeah,
that'd be great. That sounds like a good time.
Oh, cool. We just got one over on Twitter. That's Carl with a K, says, we usually snack during our games. Chips, cookies, etc. Sometimes I'll make something special, spinach dip or garlic fingers or something like that.
Ooh.
I've never heard the term garlic fingers.
I
imagine it's like garlic breadsticks.
Right, yeah. It's like the imagery comes easy, but you're still just like, huh, okay. Like,
no, I just never heard that before. Yeah. And then over on Discord, Floofy Shoob says, usually during. We have long sessions, and it's good to have a break in the middle, both for the players to get up and mill about, catch up on non-game related stuff as we are wont to do, and of course, so the GM can have a little time to prep for unexpected choices made by players in the sandbox. And I can understand that because, especially if you're running a really long session, then having a little time in the middle for the players to stretch their legs and kind of cleanse their mental palate could be helpful. But yeah, if you're in like a 4-hour game, I would say try not to. I mean, I guess we did have an episode about game length and or when to have breaks.
Sure.
And I think I did advocate having breaks fairly often. So I don't know. Do whatever the heck.
Listen to me, don't listen to me. I don't know.
Sure. Adam B says, we have a meal halfway. About this time, everyone needs a break and I need time to reset. My amazing partner normally makes a feast based on the land we are currently in game, from tavern grub to fruits from exotic lands. I mean, there you go. If you or someone else involved in the game is willing to put in the work,
right?
Whatever you do, I'm sure is going to be great.
Yeah,
but
prepping food is enough, but making it tied to the game,
I know,
that's something else.
Crazy.
Like, you're just like, you guys are in this weird exotic land, and you just have like a plate full of like horned melon and jackfruit, and they're just like, dig in.
Yeah,
I've also got durian. Oh, that's what that smell was.
Damien the DM says, we only get to play for like 4-ish hours and always late at night due to some work schedules. So we usually eat before, sometimes as a group. Sometimes the group all arrives with their own food. We usually start once people are done eating. And I think that's pretty common. I imagine. A lot of the groups that I've played with did that. Jason E., who won Unearthed Tips and Tricks today, says, we tend to eat first so we can chit-chat and get all the hot goss out of the way and then play. At our most recent game, we made a bunch of dim sum to celebrate the Lunar New Year. There you go.
Yeah. Wonder what hot goss tastes like.
Peace Pancake says, we typically don't eat except snacks, but the few times we did, it was before, since we normally start our games late. However, once we played during the day and had a lunch break, which was a pretty good extension of our usual tea break during session. I love the idea of playing earlier in the day. I feel like every time you play late at night, because it's, everybody's off when they get off work or whatever.
Yeah.
Anytime you can play earlier in the day and you can take a break for lunch or something, awesome.
Yeah, I get tired at night. It sucks. Yeah. I didn't used to, but now I do. So playing earlier in the day, that's kind of my only option now.
Yeah. We got a few more. I think I'll just read one more. Tho and Frostax says, when I was part of the massive 13-player show up if you want to play game, we would order a bunch of pizzas and then play for an hour or so. Then pizza would show up, we'd eat, then we'd play for another hour or two, and the break in between was perfect. So there you go. There's definitely ways to make it work no matter what you do. But it's cool to see what people thought. All right. And then so that was last social media question. The next social media question is, if you had to make an adventure out of a song, what song would you pick? It's very much inspired by the Codex of Cotton Eye Joe.
Oh, sure. Well, my immediate thought is Albuquerque by Weird Al Yankovic.
Yeah, that's a good one. Got any bear claws?
No.
Let me check. Oh, yeah. No, we don't have any bear claws.
Yeah. So you go into town to the bakery, the local baker.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought surely I would have a good answer by the time we got to this. If I had to pick something, I guess I would maybe say Devil Went Down to Georgia.
Sure. Yeah.
It's got a story to it, at least. I don't know.
I mean, I can imagine. I'm excited to see what other people think about this.
I'll definitely try to come up with a better one by next week.
I mean, I'm not super into music.
Yeah.
Skylar loves music. She's into music. It's as foreign to me as cars are, or it's like the way people I don't get sports or I don't get cars. It's I don't get music. I listen to music. I enjoy music. There's music that makes me cry. There's music that makes me feel great.
Yeah.
I'm affected by music, but I don't. There are subtleties and there's a nerddom that comes with music, knowing the band and the history and knowing all the names of all the band members and all the different things that they do. It's I don't know, I don't know all the specifics, so I'm sure somebody could find a way to turn any song into an adventure and it be and it work perfectly. Yeah. So I will try to come up with a good answer for next time, but I am interested to see what people come up with. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that'll do it for our questions for this week. But before we close out, let's wind down a little bit. Maybe order that pizza that we were talking about. Yeah, maybe it'll be here by the time we finish.
Sure. Let's take a deep breath. Let's remember those who have come before us, who have ordered the pizza ahead of time so that we may have a delicious snack to eat on our break as we toss another log onto the funeral pyre. Today's funeral pyre was submitted by Nexus13 on Reddit, and their story is a short one. Ground chicken. My party got the ability to fly in Tomb of Annihilation. They wanted to play a game with the Arakakra. They played ground chicken. So that is like the game of chicken, where you drive two cars either at each other or at a cliff, and then whoever pulls away first is the chicken. Oh, I guess.
Did they play chicken with the ground? Is that what I'm understanding?
They played ground chicken. Someone didn't pull up in time.
Oh, no.
That person hit the ground and lost. But hang on a second. I thought it was that if you hit the ground, you won, but you're dead. Or in chicken, whoever pulls away first loses.
So if both of them hit, then both of them win? Who loses when... Everyone loses.
Everyone loses when you play chicken.
Yeah.
But it's that the idea is that I'm going to prove that this other guy is the chicken because he's going to pull away early.
Unless you're Kevin Bacon
Yeah.
and your foot gets caught on the clutch.
Which movie was that?
That would be Footloose.
Was okay.
Oh my goodness. I know which song we should make adventure out of.
Barbie Girl. Is that what you're going to say?
Yes.
Barbie Girl. Okay.
Yeah, Barbie Girl.
Okay. Anyway, so that was ground chicken submitted by Nexus 13. So let's raise a glass in memory of Nexus 13's character, or whichever character this was that lost. Let's raise a glass and let's remember that you should have clink. All right, that'll do it for today. To submit questions for us to discuss, items for the Dragon's Hoard, or stories for the Funeral Pyre, you can email us at interpartyconflict@gmail.com. If you want to check out show notes, links to media mentioned on the show, and running lists of questions and magic items, you can visit our blog at interpartyconflict.com. You can find us on social media. We're on Facebook. We're on Reddit. We have our Interparty Discord at bit.ly/interpartydiscord. Or on Twitter at InPartyConflict. Check those out for our social media questions. If you answer them, your answers might end up on the show. You can find us on the podcatcher of your choice. If you want to leave us a review or subscribe to us, that would really help. Or just tell a friend. Word of mouth is one of the best ways of advertising. So if you can tell a friend about us, that would be really, really cool.
Yeah.
And if you want to help support the show monetarily and get some cool stuff in return, you can check out our Patreon at patreon.com/interpartyconflict. There's a few different tiers, so, anything you can spare, even $1 a month, would go towards making the show better and get you some cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff, tell us about FriendQuest.
FriendQuest is a YouTube channel where we play video games.
Yes. Speaking of video games, I have my side project, the Arcade Memories Podcast. You can find that on iTunes or whatever as well. And if you want to submit anything, submit it to me at arcadememoriespodcast@gmail.com. Also, head over to bit.ly/interpartyconflict to take a short survey about our show, what you like, what you don't like, etc. And just for taking it, you'll get 2 free printable board games, courtesy of Mary and Tom over at hollandspiel.com. And our music is made by Boxcat Games from Nameless the Hacker's RPG. So, Jeff, until next time,
Pizza's here.
Oh, snap!